That brings us to the Phoenix Suns against the LA Clippers, who are unfortunately likely going to be without Paul George for the majority or entirety of the series. So we'll start with you, Gabe. Who is your pick for the Suns against your team, the LA Clippers?
Clipper fan. Well, I guess they're going to start calling me a Suns fan because I got the Suns in 6. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker have just looked so great since they've been together, even if it's been in limited time. You know, this Suns team has had this core together for so long now. And then KD is plug and play. It really doesn't get more simple than that. And then you take Paul George out of the Clippers, and it's like they've already been so inconsistent with what they've been doing over their off season. Mixing those two things together, I feel a lot better about the Suns' chances to just really run away with this series.
Yeah, I think. See, this is kind of tough. I think, I feel like I might even like change my mind tomorrow or the next day or something like that. But being without Paul George, at least for the beginning of the series, like they said, that's the expectation, according to Shams. Like, it's going to be tough for the Clippers to overcome that. I think they have depth to do it though, and one thing is, I probably trust Kawhi in the playoffs probably more than any other player. Like, that's just personally me. But so if there's anyone who can do this, I think it could be him. But the fact that Kevin Durant hasn't lost a game in like 3 months and they're 8-0, like the Suns when he does play, I kind of have to pick the Suns. But I'm going to say it goes 7. And in a game 7, anything could happen. So I very well could see the Clippers. I think, what is the percent that says they give them 19% chance to win the series? I feel like that should be closer, honestly. Like, they should have at least like a 35% chance, which might seem crazy, but I'm gonna take the Suns at 7 though.
If Paul George, his status wasn't so uncertain, I think it would be a 7-game series, man. I think these teams actually match up pretty well. When you just look player for player, the coaching matchup, I think they match up very well. We've already seen like a different iteration of these teams, but we've seen them match up before, and even with injuries, it was still a pretty compelling series. And with that being said, though, I do got Phoenix in 6. I just think adding Kevin Durant to a team that this core has already made a deep playoff run, made it to the NBA Finals, that's a lot, man. Kevin Durant, I mean, say what you want, man. He's still one of the best playoff performers that we've seen. Even if it's been in Golden State, he's had some great runs in OKC. His not last season, but the year before in Brooklyn when Kyrie and Harden were down, he was incredible. KD's going to get it done, and they've been so good even in the limited time that they played together. I can't see them going out in round 1. I do think, like you said, Kawhi, there's one guy that can do it. It is Kawhi Leonard because he's one of the best playoff performers that we've seen in this generation. But I think the uncertainty with Paul George just makes it a little too much to overcome. And so I got Phoenix in 6 games.
To throw out just one stat, just a little fun stat, Kevin Durant has not beaten Russell Westbrook in a game in more than 5 years. So, and I will say, though, too, I get it. Like, Westbrook's not the same player he was 5 years ago. But if you were to ask Russell Westbrook 5 years ago, or if you were to tell him 5 years ago, hey, you're going to get at least one more opportunity to play on a pretty good team, because the Clippers, they're a really talented team, and you're going to play Kevin Durant in the first round of the playoffs, I bet he would be so excited for that moment, because who's realistically thinking that the Clippers should win this series? Not a lot of people with Paul George out, right? Especially because the Clippers have been so up and down. The Suns, ever since they added Durant, they've been up. So for that reason in particular, it could almost be a surprise pick that they could pull it off. I would still agree with you, though. I think the Suns are the favorite, but I can't count them out. I don't know.
My only thing with Russell Westbrook, the only thing, I've just seen this man get either played off the court in the playoffs so many times, or him play his team out of the playoffs just because of how other teams defend him. So it'll be interesting to see how Ty Lue tries and combat that, or even if Russell Westbrook will be on the court in meaningful minutes down the stretch of playoff games. That's just something that I kind of still have questions about.
Yeah,
that will be an interesting thing to monitor for sure. Like you guys alluded to, it's really unfortunate that Paul George is not going to be playing for at least part of or the majority of the series. because this has the potential to be an all-time great first-round series if Paul George is healthy. Like, this would be a great 4 versus 5 matchup, and it'll still probably be a relatively competitive series just because Kawhi is that good and the Clippers have enough depth around him. I just don't trust their depth enough to have enough competition against this Suns team without Paul George. I'm taking the Suns in 5 here. This Suns team is just too dominant that Kawhi will have to at least get them a game. I trust in him that much at least, but I don't think they have enough to do anything more than that unless Paul George makes a surprise return in game 3. But it just doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. And without him, I don't think the Clippers are quite going to have enough fight against the Devin Booker and KD-led Suns team.